Hi everyone, Dave here at East Rosebud Fly and Tackle, Billings, Montana. Welcome. This morning I'm going to tie for you an oldie but a goodie, the Carey Special. This fly was developed well over 50 years ago in the British Columbia area to fish the Kamloops trout in those lakes. It's an extremely effective dragonfly nymph. I don't think anything's been made since then that's better than this. Lots of movement, simplicity of materials. I'm going to be taking feathers off a ringneck pheasant cape for the tail, for the hackle. The body is simply some olive chenille with a little bit of oval gold tinsel counter wrap on a 2X long nymph hook. This is a size 8, but it can be tied smaller than that. So it's a great nymph to have if you're fishing lakes. All right, so what I have here in the vise is a 2X long nymph hook. This happens to be a U103, but it's equivalent to a TMC 5262. Size 8. I'm going to put on 6 turns of 020 lead wire. Now you could fish this fly a lot of ways. You can fish it unweighted, fish it on a sinking tip line, and that will float it right above the weed beds. Or you can weight it and fish it with a floating line. So there's a lot of different ways you can work this nymph. 5, 6, so I'm just going to take kind of an intermediate here, a few turns of lead. Get those consolidated and cleaned up. And I want this in about the middle of the body. I want kind of neutral weighting. I don't want so much of the jigging effect. That's not how dragonflies move. They crawl along the bottom. This is uni thread, 6/0 black. Start here, capture the lead, and then go ahead and taper both ends. All right to the back of the hook shank, which is always at the back of the barb. I'm going to be using some fibers. This is kind of from the lower rear part of the rooster pheasant rump. It's some brownish feathers. Take off about 8 or 10 of these and tie in a tail. Just bring them straight away from the quill of the feather. That aligns the tips. And just tear them straight down. I want this tail to be about 2/3 of the shank length. Measure it there. It's about right. Tie in with the soft wrap. Bring your thread up and over, and that rolls that on top perfectly every time. And we want to make sure that we wrap this all the way to the back of the lead. What we're trying to do is get our underbody as even as possible before we start wrapping in our overbody. This is just medium size standard Rayon Chenille in olive. A variegated olive brown would also look nice on this. But remember, your dragonflies are going to be camouflaged to whatever lake system they're at. If they're on the bottom, they're more brownish. If they live in the vegetation, they're going to be green. So we strip off some so we know that we're actually in the core of this chenille, excuse me. Tie it down here. Bring my thread forward. Again, what I'm trying to do is even up this body. And then for the rib, I'm using some medium oval gold tinsel. I think people have forgotten about this product. Just about everybody uses wire anymore. Tinsel is a really nice product to use. I'm going to counter wrap this once I wrap the chenille. So I want this on my side of the hook. Wrap it down. And then bring the thread forward. Stop about 2 eye lengths shy of the eye. I need to leave room to tie in that soft hackle in the front. You can certainly use your rotary vise to tie in the chenille. I'm going to untwist this a little bit. Nice compact body. And I think you can see by tying in those materials properly behind the lead wire, we end up with a body that's really even. Counter wrap with the oval tinsel. Oval tinsel just has a cotton thread core and metallic overwind on it, but it's easy to use. All right, then bring your thread to behind the eye of the fly. So what I'm using again is one of these rump feathers. In a previous video I talked about the importance of keeping your after shaft feathers. They can be used to tie flies, and that's where it is on a pheasant rump feather, nice and long. I'm going to be tying this in by the tip and just making a couple of wraps. So we'll remove all of this marabou down here. Make a division point up here. Something like that. I'm going to be tying it in this way and wrapping back. So I'm going to take a couple of quills off of this side. This will be the first part that contacts the hook. By removing these, this prevents them from flaring forward. Keeps my hackle wraps nice and pretty. So, like that. To tie it in right where I made my division point. Wrap the thread back towards the thorax. Clip that tip off. And we're simply going to wrap this on edge. Just a couple of wraps. Remember, we're only simulating here 6 legs. You don't need a ton of wraps here. When I get to where my thread is, 1 wrap to tie the hackle off, 1 wrap in the middle of the hackle to tie it down, and then 1 wrap forward. That's all it takes to tie a soft hackle. Take off the butt end. I'm going to stroke this back a little bit and use my thread with touching wraps to force this back, like so, and make a bit of a thread head. And then whip finish. I would have these in a couple sizes, 8s, 10s, even down to 12s. Olive brown variegated chenille would also be good. And there are a lot of rump feathers on a pheasant skin. So there's your Carey Special. Thanks for joining in. If you have any questions or comments, let us know. See you next time.